Before I even get fully started on this video, I do want to preface this by saying I was also massively disappointed by The Rise of Skywalker. This was the end of a saga that has been semi-consistently running since 1977, and to be honest, when I first watched the trailers, I was really excited. I had realised that bringing the Emperor back made pretty much no sense, but hey, it was pretty cool, and it could still be a good film. They could work it in some way. So I actually walked into the cinema, somewhat hopeful and optimistic that the film would turn out to be a reverse Last Jedi and actually better than what the critics were saying. And instead I walked out of the cinema and this movie isn't that bad, to be honest. It isn't Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones bad. Here come the comments. But it isn't good either. There are some really good moments, like Kylo's redemption with Han, as rushed as that plotline was, or the moment where Rey reached out to all the other Jedi. But when you get a somehow Palpatine returned, or a Space Hitler turns out to be a spy against the Space Nazis moments, it's a bit off.
Also, I do actually want to mention that the thing that annoyed me most was the clear cop-out between the I am all the Sith, I am all the Jedi line. How it was so obvious they were trying to grasp at whatever they could to have an ending quite as good and as competent as Avengers Endgame was, but it's pretty pathetic as to how J.J. Abrams and anyone else who was involved in writing just sought to copy and paste, and that really, really annoyed me. However, in the wake of this film's release, there's been a lot of discussion over the sequel trilogy. Many have compared it to the OG trilogy and the prequels, and are trying to proclaim that the sequel trilogy is the worst thing that's ever happened to Star Wars. And let me say, I can't argue too much of that, because I haven't been a Star Wars fan for long. You see, before the release of Episode 7, I hadn't seen any Star Wars movies. I had no idea what had happened in the films apart from laser swords and I Am Your Father. So I went into The Force Awakens with no clue what a Star Wars movie really was, but I wanted to see it because about 2 minutes of the film took place in Kerry and Donegal in Ireland. You can proclaim as much now before I even fully get started on the sequel trilogy that this makes me a fake fan, but I think everyone has that trilogy. Like, older people have the original trilogy when they remember that coming out, and then some people grew up with the prequels. I just happen to grow up with the sequel trilogy. Just is the way it is. And
I'm no one.
Ben! Traitor!
I was hooked. I walked out the cinema and was pretty pleased with what I saw. I didn't get some of it because I was an absolute idiot, but hey, it was fun. I watched the movie 2 or 3 more times in the years that followed, got a bit more of a grasp as to what the story and the universe actually fully entailed, and then I went to go watch The Last Jedi when it came out. Yeah, I know. My first 2 Star Wars movies were The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. I'm going to be hung, drawn and quartered for this, but these 2 gave me enough genuine interest to explore more of the Star Wars mythos, and they're pretty good movies. Oh my god, the comments in this are going to be absolutely mental. Okay, I don't think the sequel trilogy is top-notch cinema, far from it. The Force Awakens is pretty much a Control-C, Control-V on New Hope, but it has some pretty interesting changes, fun new characters, and is a good look on what happened to Han and Leia after Episode 6. It's shot well, and I'm not exactly going to be standing up by saying the John Williams score is great, because the John Williams score is great in every single movie John Williams is tied to. The Last Jedi is one half great and one half... all the stuff with Luke, Rey, Kylo, it's all really good in my opinion. I like seeing Luke be a flawed character again, someone who still has room to grow, isn't just the perfect Jedi White Knight.
that everyone was hoping he would be. I like Rey and how she genuinely seems all good. Like, there's very little pulling her towards the dark side in this film, and that makes it hard for Kylo to tempt her to the dark. And Kylo, who is the best part of this trilogy, even non-sequel fans seem to agree on that. But man, the Canto Bight stuff, it's so bad, you guys, honestly. It takes me so far off the film that most of the time when I watch it now, I skip all the scenes with Finn and Rose until we get to the Salt Planet. If I had to rank the Star Wars films, The Last Jedi goes above Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace, and Rise of Skywalker, with Revenge of the Sith sitting right in between Last Jedi and Force Awakens. I'm gonna be hung for this video. These movies are far from perfect, but without them, I wouldn't be a Star Wars fan. And I'm sure the same is for many people. Growing up in Ireland, you aren't exactly exposed to Star Wars that much, but thanks to this movie's convenient releases and convenient areas where it decided to shoot, I became a fan of the series. Movies aren't as bad as so many angry contrarians in the internet make them out to be. Just because they decided to take characters in a different direction to how you would have personally taken them, doesn't mean your entire childhood is ruined, or that the character itself is ruined. Just, you're being a big baby here, guys. Disney may be throwing out Star Wars movies like they're going out of style, and maybe they are, Solo. But I am going to be intrigued to see what they put out next in this franchise, and for as much as you lot claim to hate these movies, you will too, because we're way too far down the Star Wars rabbit hole, and we all want to see what comes next in a galaxy far, far away.
I'm putting on my shades to cover up my eyes. I'm jumping in my ride. I'm heading out tonight. I'm solo. I'm Han Solo. I'm Han Solo. I'm Han Solo. Solo. I'm picking up my blaster, putting it on my side. I'm jumping in my Falcon, whooping at my side. I'm solo. I'm Han Solo. I'm Han Solo.